guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about appearances and hair and makeup. Being a Korean adopted person, my mom was not into makeup or skincare or anything. It just wasn't an interest of hers at all. So she really didn't know about that type of stuff, and I guess there were not many places to kind of seek that out either. It's like we didn't live in a place that had a big department store or anything like that. And even if we had a department store like that, honestly, it probably wouldn't have made any difference because there were no Asian people around. And I think that Asian makeup is different. There's so many great YouTube channels out there who show you how to apply makeup for all different types of people and different types of looks. And that's something that I didn't just discover because obviously YouTube wasn't around when I was growing up. I think I looked up my first YouTube makeup tutorial right before I was getting married because I wanted to do my own makeup for it. And up until then I really hadn't worn much makeup at all because honestly I didn't really know how and I didn't really know much about it. Now, I wouldn't even say it wasn't of interest to me because it was, but I feel like every time I had tried makeup it just didn't help me. It didn't make me look better, I didn't think. And I think it was just because it was, and even friends who were into makeup or whatever, who wore it in high school and stuff, they didn't know how to apply it on me, and I didn't know how to apply it on me in a way that made sense and would actually make myself look better. So I just kind of figured, oh, maybe it's not for me. At my wedding, I wanted to do my own makeup because A, there were no makeup artists in my area that I felt confident in hiring to do it, because nobody, I'm sure, would have ever done an Asian person's makeup because it's small town. Again, I got married. I got married in my hometown, so I watched a couple YouTube videos, tutorials, and actually I kind of still follow those people. I'll randomly stumble across their channels now and just kind of see what they're up to, and they're all Korean. It opened a whole world to me, I feel like, and I just wish that I would have known about it earlier, or I would have given it more of a chance earlier. But honestly, I just didn't know how. Part of it was just the time back in the 90s, and I just didn't have the access that people have now. And I think it would have changed so much for me. If you were like me or you have an adopted child who's Asian, maybe seek out some makeup inspiration and kind of give your kid access to that. I think it really helped me, even though I was in my early 20s when I got married, and it was still an eye-opening world. For example, professionally, when I was first starting out in my industry, I was super self-conscious, and for the first time in my life, it wasn't actually my Asianness that was the first and foremost thing that was of issue for me. It was my age. And not even that I was that young, but I looked really young. As a healthcare provider, when the doctor, I actually had people who didn't want to see me or who had expressed concern to my staff that, how old is she? How long has she been doing this? And I think that makeup makes a big difference. So I was already practicing when I got married. I was in my mid-20s. I was already practicing, and before and after wedding time, I feel a whole new world had opened up to me. I could make myself look more put together, more professional in a way, just by adding a little bit of makeup to my life, and hair too. So I think hair is also something that it just wasn't of interest to my parents. I think that my mom, again, she just it wasn't an interest of hers. So I just had some horrible haircuts, and I think it's almost a rite of passage, especially Asian adopted. And if you don't believe me, go on the Adoptee Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure everybody on there can commiserate with one another on all the bad haircuts from the 80s and 90s. So the infamous bowl cut, I'm sure we've all had that at one point. Having Korean hair, it's different. It's because of the darkness of it. Coloring is a whole different thing. I won't let just anyone color my hair. I think it's I don't want it bleached. I don't want it, certain things done to it. But it's super thick. So super, super thick. And I think, and even as a kid, it was super thick. So if you don't have the right cut, it looks like you just have a helmet of varying lengths on your head. So don't get your kid a bowl cut. Especially now, we're in 2021 now, that was not even a good thing back then. So having the right haircut and knowing your hair and knowing your face and knowing what works and doesn't work. And I'm not claiming to be an expert on any of this. I literally have very minimal makeup experience. I know what I kind of do, and that makes me feel a little bit more put together on the day-to-day. What I will say is like with practice and with different types of inspiration over the years and different, like just even YouTube like has been really helpful. I've learned these things and I kind of know now what I like for myself and based on what I have to work with. So, you know, my hair and being super thick, like it has to have layers. Like I could never have like a blunt cut or anything like that. It would be like it just wouldn't look right. It would be like really big on the ends because it's just really heavy and really thick. And I think a lot of Korean hair is like that. So knowing like what you're working with, I think is just essential. Like I've gone to weddings, I've been in weddings of friends and friends who've insisted like that was part of their thing. Like they had hair and makeup come in and do their bit. And as luxurious as that is, like I love having my hair done and I love having my makeup done like professionally, but at the same rate, like it always gives me a little anxiety, like because I've been in weddings where it's like I literally felt like a clown. Like the person obviously had no experience with like Asian faces, Asian eyes, like a whole bit. So that can go terribly wrong. You know, obviously it's not my day, so I'm not going to like pitch a fit about it, but it's so different. If adoptive parents are not into that kind of thing, that's totally fine. I think there's so many resources out there to help your child. And I think that had I had a little bit of like makeup know-how or confidence to apply makeup in high school or like college even, you know, I think it would have changed like a lot. Like I'm a big believer in makeup. I think it has amazing transformative properties that are so accessible and so simple in a lot of ways. And it's not even to say that it totally transforms the way the person looks, but I will say like if I had to go into the office and go and see patients or go and be in a professional like conference or something, if I had to go like totally undone, no makeup, no hair, like I would feel like really out of like sorts. I don't think that's like shallow or anything. I think that's literally just like feeling a certain way, like feeling put together, feeling like you've done whatever steps you need to do to make yourself feel like a person, I guess, in that environment. So yeah, I mean, even like barefaced hair in a ponytail, it doesn't mean that I know less, that I'm like less professional or less knowledgeable in my area of expertise. It just means that I don't look or feel as put together as I would like. So think about like those awkward middle school, high school years where you just feel, you know, like you're just coming into your own. You don't really have a firm grasp on who you are yet even. But I think that having that little bit of like extra boost in confidence and like looking a little bit more put together, I think it can like work wonders for that stage of life. I would imagine, like I said, I didn't have that. I hadn't really found makeup at that point, but so for instance, like I was in like the school play. It was like a school function and I was one of like the devils. Like it was, what the heck was that? Or maybe it was like our own storyline. But anyway, I was like a devil. So it was like 5 or 6 of us girls and we were wearing like black leotards with like red chiffon and like devil horns. It was like part of the skit or whatever. And the makeup was just ridiculous on all of us, but especially on me. And I just feel like those little things stick out to me. And I guess by that point I was like a senior in high school. So I had already found my own, like I'd kind of found my semi place in that world. So that was fine, but it's just different. So if you have an Asian child or if you are an Asian, get a little bit of makeup experience under your belt and figure out what type of hair you have and what, you know, how thick is it, you know, not even just like the thickness like of like how much you have, but even the individual strands, like how thick the strands are apparently like also can play a factor. So just knowing different parts about like what you're working with and just to increase your knowledge, like, so I'm always about that. But anyway, so I thought I would share if you and I've told my parents this too, like I wish that I would have, you know, because obviously hindsight is like so clear and the answers are all there right in front of you, like smacking you in the face. But I think that makeup is like huge. I think it's so fun and accessible, and like it doesn't mean you have to go and like spend $1,000 at Sephora to get set up. You like go and start with drugstore stuff. I mean, it's pretty minimal investment, and I think that that's how you should start. And I think if you're a parent and you're reluctant to let your daughter wear makeup, I think there are rights and wrong ways about that. When I think about my own daughter wearing makeup, I mean, there's definitely a too early point. But I would say, like, if my daughter were, I don't know, like middle school for sure, I think I would entertain it. And it's not to say like bright red lip or anything like that, but I think that there are little things that, you know, you can do to kind of accentuate your features, and maybe don't even make a big difference on the looks, but just by maybe going through like the motions and like having that part of your routine or whatever, I think that can add value. So just wanted to share that little gem from my childhood. I'm like reliving all of my childhood, like adolescent woes, I guess, here on this channel. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.